That was the president attacking Tim Cook in recent days over the company's plans for iPhone production. Our own Steve Kovach has the story for today's Tech Check. Steve, you said it yesterday, living rent-free in his head.
Yeah, and we're seeing it again. It's like he was watching our conversation yesterday because he was talking about Tim Cook again today. And look, Carl, this is all tied to Apple's decision to ramp up production in India this year to skirt those tariffs on China. This is not the outcome the president was looking for 2 weeks ago during earnings. Apple kind of painted a new picture of its supply chain. The plan they were talking about here were iPhones sold in the U.S. They're eventually going to be sourced from India, while other products like Macs and AirPods and watches, those are going to come from Vietnam, while China, in the meantime, will supply the rest of the world. Now, so far, no commitment from Apple to make iPhones in the United States, which seems to be the main goal of Trump and his administration. India iPhone production, in the meantime, have been ramping up significantly since the pandemic, before we're even talking about all these tariff issues. That's when supply chains were slowed down due to those COVID lockdowns out in China. Now, they're ramping up again in response to tariffs. Still need a lot more capacity, though, to produce the approximately 65 million iPhones sold in the United States each year. And all that's why Trump now says he has a, quote, problem with Tim Cook and Apple and the public pressure campaign he's been on all this week. What we saw in those shots right there, this is his third public mention of Cook in the last 4 days, highly critical of him. Remember, Tim Cook and Apple have made a ton of overtures to Trump and his administration. Cook made that personal $1 million donation for the inauguration and showed up behind the president as he was sworn in back in January, and also committed to building a new factory to make artificial intelligence servers down in Houston, Texas. Now, despite that, Apple shares have been underperforming its peers. It's the only Mag 7 stock that's still negative since Liberation Day on April 2nd, down about 5%. And Cook credited for managing the relationship with President Trump back in the first term better than his peers, but that doesn't seem to be working out so well this time. Don't think Trump's going to be happy until he can really hold up an iPhone and say, this was made in the United States, Carl.
And you've long said, Steve, that is unlikely to happen. Is that changing your view?
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. It's just going to be an enormously expensive iPhone. We've been talking about this since Liberation Day. What would it take for an iPhone to be built here? The supply chain that Tim Cook so brilliantly built over there in Asia is all coordinated together to keep those prices the way that we're so used to paying them. And to move all that over here to make a U.S.-made iPhone, that just means an enormously expensive device that people won't be able to afford to buy.
I do wonder if they're regretting that Tim Cook did not accompany him to this big Saudi investment conference. I mean, Amazon CEO was there, Tesla CEO was there, NVIDIA CEO was there.
Yeah, everyone was there.
CEO was there. Google sent Ruth Porat. Where was Tim Cook?
Yeah, where was Tim Cook? And I don't think anyone from Microsoft either, unless I missed something. I definitely didn't see Satya Nadella there.
Yeah,
I mean, you were out
Chuck
there,
Robbins
Sarah.
this morning took pains to say I would have been there if I could.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, that seems to be rubbing Trump the wrong way, too, because he was out there to make all those deals. It seems like Jensen Huang is his new favorite tech CEO, though. He really likes pointing to Jensen. So, yeah, that is another issue that Trump seems to be worried about. But more than anything is this India issue. I mean, he realizes making phones in India is not the goal of his administration. His goal is to get those over here. He told Tim Cook, go ahead and make the phones that you sell in India, but that doesn't really count for the United States. But Tim Cook is stuck in this position, Sarah, where it's just going to be way too expensive. They're not going to be able to sell and move the phones the way they would normally do if they actually brought production over
the
here.
Economics are tough.
Yeah.
How small of a footprint could you place in the United States, right, to make a gesture and yet still have it be efficient and have some economies of scale?
Yeah, I don't even know what that would look like, Carl. I mean, the best analogy I have right now is what we saw in the first term, where Tim Cook brought Trump down to that factory in Texas where they had that low volume of those Mac Pros, maybe something like that, a kind of low volume facility where they could say, hey, we brought all these parts over from Asia and our other supply chain countries and assembled it here, and now we have an assembled in the U.S. iPhone. Maybe they can do that, but again, it's just it doesn't really hit the scale that the iPhone's at. They sell like 200 million of these things every year across the globe. To make 65 million of those here in the United States just isn't in the cards.
Well, the irony is he also talked up the India trade deal, which would be very
exactly.
good,
That's
actually,
right.
for the production of iPhones in India, shipping them over here.
Exactly.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
Steve Kovach.